Welcome to the Wildflower Journal, a cozy weekly series of creative projects, thrift flips, home decor recipes, and inspiration. Each Sunday, I invite you to slow down with me, pour a cup of tea or coffee, and enjoy a little everyday magic. Here, we create with our hands, find inspiration in nature, and make space for gratitude in the everyday. From thrifted treasures to seasonal recipes, each project is a reminder that beauty can be found even in the simplest of things. So settle in, get cozy, and let's begin this week's journal together. This week begins in a place filled with enchantment. Welcome to Lilydale, New York. It's a town where the forest feels alive with whispers, where fairies and gnomes are tucked between mossy stumps, and where flowers bloom with their own kind of quiet magic. As I wandered the paths, I found a small treasure waiting for me on the ground, a clear quartz crystal. I couldn't help but pick it up, and I thought maybe we can use this little piece of the forest in one of our projects later on. With my pockets full of inspiration, I came home ready to carry that magic into my own four corners of the world. In this episode, I'll be sharing 4 cozy projects with you. First, we'll create mossy woodland stumps from cut wood slices, top them with moss and tiny fairy trinkets to capture the feel of the enchanted forest. Then we'll bring autumn indoors with floral pumpkins, decorating them with pressed wildflowers like bouquets frozen in time. We'll also transform a thrifted book with paint and give something once forgotten a chance to shine again, and we'll make a journal entry into it. And we'll make our way to the kitchen with a new fall recipe, a delicious, comforting chili recipe perfect for the season. So get cozy, get comfy. Let's go. I was drawn to these mossy stumps. I just looked and took it all in. There's something about the forest that feels like stepping into a whole other world, doesn't it? The air is cooler. I've always felt most grounded under a canopy of green, where moss carpets the forest floor and tree stumps, well, they wear their mossy crowns like ancient guardians. Moss is a special kind of magic to me. It really doesn't demand attention, but when you notice it, you realize it really makes the forest feel alive and very enchanted. So, this project, well, I wanted to bring some of that forest magic into my space. This project is all about turning some ordinary objects into a reminder of the wild. So, my neighbor had cut a tree down and they were doing some yard work. And before they discarded or burnt the tree pieces, I asked if I could have an armful. And I knew there would be a reason, and I saw beauty in them, and I thought I can turn them into something. So they've been kicking around, and this is the perfect project. I put the little piece on top of the big one. It kind of reminded me of a forest stump on a stump. I'm gluing down my moss. And getting ready to add all my little fairy friends, all my little forest creatures. I see this as something that I can place onto my end stand next to my couch or on my coffee table with a few books. But I want to bring a little piece of the forest inside. I don't think after doing this project that I'll look at a thrift store shelf the same way. I always love the critters, but you can always find a lot of little decor pieces and you can put them together. So I've got two squirrels here that I picked up. I've got two bunnies over here having a conversation beneath the lamppost. The squirrels over here, of course, they're hanging out by the fountain. And then that clear quartz. I put a few mushies around, little mushrooms, and I'm trying to find the right place for this clear quartz. And I had an idea. Maybe I could put it into the fountain, and it could be water. It holds the crystal. It does look like water droplets. So that felt good. And then in the front, I went ahead and put my mushrooms. So if you go out and you look in fairy garden sections, especially in the gardening section, this is where I found these guys. You can buy them at different shops. But like I said, it really, after doing this project, I've seen so many of these little critters that need a home, little tiny pieces of decor. And so from now on, I'm definitely going to be hunting to see what I can thrift and find secondhand and give these little critters a home. I've got a whole forest family here. These are all my fairy friends, all the forest creatures. This makes me happy when I look at it, and I cannot wait to set it up in my space. Pumpkins, well, they're already a symbol of autumn. But when you pair them with dried pressed flowers, well, they take on a whole new kind of magic. It's like bringing summer and fall together, petals preserved in time, meeting the coziness of the harvest season. This craft I'm about to show you is very simple. It's very delicate, but it's very meditative. So I've had these pumpkins with me for a while, and it's time I give them a whole new look. So you can use a glue. I'm using, you can see in the background there, some Liquitex gel medium. I'm out of my Mod Podge. I got that on sale, but if you have Mod Podge or you make your own glue, perfect. So you're going to put a layer of your glue down. You're going to lay down your pressed flower, and then you're going to put a top layer of glue to act like sealer as well on the top. And if you're using Mod Podge, it will dry clear. One of my pumpkins here is a foam and the other one is a plastic one, or you can use a real one, whatever you want. Like I said, these guys have been with me for a while, so I really just felt this project would give them a whole new look, a whole new feel, and just, make them shine again. By the way, also getting a little set of tweezers will be helpful for those, just to be able to, move those little fragile pieces of stems. So once your flowers are pressed and dried, they become really paper thin treasures, and you can do so much with them. Each one of them is unique. And with a little glue and patience, you can gently place them on the surface of a pumpkin or anything else that you can think of. And you can arrange your blossoms in different ways. I guarantee you that if you did this craft with friends, every pumpkin would turn out differently. I really enjoy doing this project. There's no carving, there's no fuss, and we're just preserving what nature gives us in a whole new way. It's beautiful. I love the fact of knowing that these petals once grew wild in the summer sun, and now they're going to brighten my home all through fall and winter. And it sure is a reminder to us that seasons may change, but we can take the beauty from one season and bring it and carry it over with us into the next. So I was scanning this recipe book. I have been pulling out all of the old recipe books that we have. Some are really, really old. This one is probably from maybe, I don't know, 8-9 years ago, I'm gonna guess. But it is the crock pot 5 ingredients or less dump meals. And I was going through here and I found this one. It says corn and 2-bean chili. And so it has everything laid out here. So I'm gonna try this. Doesn't that look so good? I think it would be great with cornbread. I'm actually going to make this one at the end of the day when it's done. We can have it for supper together, me and Matt. I'm going to use my little dipper chips, my little Tostitos, and I think that'll be great too. So just ideas. So yeah, let's get everything that we need. Okay, so the first thing is a can of kidney beans. We're going to have to rinse and drain them. Can of black beans, rinsed and drained. A can of fire roasted diced tomatoes. So this is 15, basically 15 ounces each. A cup of salsa, a cup of frozen corn, a minced onion, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of ground cumin, and then sour cream and shredded cheddar cheese on the top, which is optional, but it's not optional for me. Tell me if you too love the cheese toppings. These are pop top, but this guy here I'll need to open. These rinsed and drained. One of you guys actually sent me this guy, and I want you to know that I'm still using him. I've had him for many, many moons. You know, he's had an eye injury right here, but this has been this has been with me for a long time, and I thank you for sending that in to me. These are, by the way, the dip and chips that I'm going to be using to dip and enjoy. I'm crying, this recipe is so good, and I haven't even made it yet. So the next thing we're gonna do is put a fresh ear of corn in. It calls for a cup of frozen corn. You can do that as well, but I picked up some fresh. So I'm gonna prepare that to drop into it as well. Hey, well, ain't I lucky? Chef Matt stopped by, and he's gonna help me with this part. So this recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of ground cumin.
But we're going to do a secret weapon.
But Matt's pulling out a secret weapon. Show us.
hatch chilies.
You found this and wants to try it. So we've got cumin, chili powder.
I am measuring by eye because I was a professional chef for a number of years. So
me, I'm a stick to the book because I don't trust myself.
Yeah. And then, you know what? No, this ain't gonna work. I gotta take the top off. There you go. So basically, half a teaspoon of hatch chili, a teaspoon of dark chili powder, and then I did a half teaspoon of cumin. Calls for a teaspoon. I find cumin can be a little bit overwhelming. Mm-hmm. Salt, pepper to taste. Always salt and pepper your stuff, even if the recipe doesn't call for it, because that's what builds the flavor.
You know where we're going?
We're gonna go down to Flavor Town.
That's right, we're going to Flavor Town. This is gonna be so good. All right, anything else? Or is that it?
Just mix it up.
Ooh.
Close her up. She's ready to go. If you like a little more liquid in your chili, you can add some water. You can add some beer. You can add some chicken stock. I like chicken stock, even in vegetarian recipes, because you could use vegetable stock, but chicken stock gives you that silky feel on your tongue. You know, that nice texture in soups. You know, that's very fine. Makes it feel nice and silky, right? So we got this mixed up good. Now all we have to do is fire her up.
So the recipe says that you're gonna cook it on high. It says cook on low 5 to 6 hours, which I don't believe you need. Well, I guess it's low. High would be 2.5 to 3 hours. So
I'm not waiting 5.
No, I think this should be good in 2. I mean, it's just gotta, everything in there is like, just gotta warm up together. Yeah. Okay. All right, it's ready. Wow. Okay, so confession time. I went to get the toppings, being the sour cream and the cheese. They were sitting on top of the salsa because you're also supposed to put, I believe it was a cup of this into here, which probably would make it a little more fluid. Right. But if you leave it out, now you know what it looks like. I'm just gonna put a little bit in here, you know? We'll make it our very own recipe. Let me consult my book here real quick. One cup of salsa. That's what I missed adding. Okay, it's never too late. It's never too late. Looks good to me. So last week we went ahead and flipped this cover of a hardcover book that we picked up at the thrift store. It looks fantastic. I'm excited to work with it inside of it. I was also thinking, now that this is dry, I may also add a few little pressed wildflowers out around here, so I can work on that another day. But today I'm going to work on the inside. And I'm just going to start with the first 2 pages. I'm going to figure out something to do here as well later. But I'm going to go at the very first start. That's the cover. And this is the first page. So between the first 2 pages here. So I've got some parchment paper. And I'm going to prep these pages so I can begin to use it now weekly as a creative diary for all the projects that we do. Okay, and so the parchment paper just protects your page from the paint that we're going to put on it, getting onto the other pages underneath it and sucking that in. And I can just keep reusing these 2 pieces right here. And then we're going to start to paint these pages. And I'm going to use this paint to be, in my mind, like a gesso. And it is just an ultra flat clay paint. So now I'm going to go ahead and begin to spread it out. And typically what I like to do is I go one way with my lines this way. Doesn't have to be perfect. I enjoy creating texture. So the first light layer that I'm gonna do is go all the way that way. It's not gonna take very long for this to dry. And then when I come back, I'm gonna go over it the other way. It creates a weave texture in the pages that I really like to work with, and I like how it looks, and it helps ensure that I get like some nice good coverage. So yeah, I would just go ahead and put a couple light, at least a minimum of 2, if not more, maybe 3. First layer is basically like a priming layer. Second layer helps me build it up. And the fun thing too is you can do any color background that you want. I'm checking back and everything is dried. It's perfect. I don't even need to do a third layer. I'm really happy with that. So it's still able to bend and do all that great stuff. But yeah, my biggest goal was to have everything covered below it, and also to have a topping where I could now stick things onto it. These are ready for me to go ahead and just kind of put down the memories of the very first journal entry that we did last week. And then the pictures from today's projects, well, that'll be in for next week's pages. But today I've got this one, and next week I'll probably do my pictures like half the size right here. I think this is 4x6, so we'll go for a little smaller. We got Mr. Toad. We've got, do you remember we did the pumpkin with the cookie mix? That was so good. We did the forest table as well. That was really nice. I got an idea for this guy here as well. We did this cover of this book, which was the project of finding the book and flipping it and making that happen. We picked wildflowers together. I showed you how I pressed them, and a little project that you can do today. We put these, actually those were the ferns right there that we put onto the pumpkin. And then of course me right here. That was the cover, on the cover picture of that last video. So basically what I'm gonna do is maybe I'll put myself on the front here with the Wildflower Journal. That can be on the front. And take 4 pictures for over here. So I might do like the frog. The other thing I could do is like cut out around here. So we could do the frog and the bake. I might do that. So that way I can have a little space and I can write this recipe right here. And then this one here, I don't mind if the flowers are covered. I anticipate it, like this was just gonna be the background. And then we have this one right here. So if you put your pages down like this, it gives you a little space here and a little space here. You could always do that and make it work. I could, again, cut this out if I wanted to, which I might. So give me a minute. So I'm going to make all these pages work. This will be my introduction pictures right here for the start. So that feels fitting for the front. I can't remember the last time I went and I had pictures printed, but I have to say it feels good. It does. I used to do a lot of scrapbooking earlier on, I've been, you know, I did scrapbooks for Matt when he was a kid with all the old pictures. Did a bunch for Riley, and unfortunately, a lot of pictures that we put on our phones, well, I don't know about you, but it seems like if they don't come off the phone, when you stop using that phone, your pictures are on a phone, but are you ever going to be able to get it turned back on again? Or, you know, does the phone ever come back on? Or do you have a charger that fits anymore for it, you know? So I'm enjoying getting pictures printed, you know, documenting life and having something to look back on. So maybe this will inspire you as well. Doesn't have to be perfect. I've got a cool idea for this. Maybe like right there would be real cool. And then I am gonna do this. That idea that I had, I'm gonna act on it. I'm not gonna overthink it. We're just gonna cut out and imagine we have these pumpkin bars again. Did anybody try this recipe from last week? I might have to make that again. And I'm gonna write the recipe so I always have it. Tea and cookies with Mr. Toad. Love that. So the other thing I've been collecting is washi tape for a while. I've had this pile for a long time, and washi tape is perfect for stuff like this. Oh my gosh, look, there's a bee. My little symbol for this channel is the bee. So you know what? I feel like that would be good. This one kind of looks like a beehive. Why don't we start with those? Do with some floral. You know what? I kind of like the chevron, the black as well. And so as an example, when you do junk journal, is that, I mean, this book was junk. It was literally donated. We're giving it some new life. But as you junk journal and you go on and you begin to fill this out, you can start to think about, okay, so the label that was on the pumpkin can that is in the trash that I wish in hindsight I had pulled out, but you know, hindsight's 2020, that what you can do is just like put a piece of that pumpkin label behind it. It becomes part of your junk journal. Keep a part of the package of this cookie mix that I use, the Betty Crocker mix, you know, stuff like that can also become part of this. So I'm definitely going to write right here my my ingredients that I use, so I will always have this. The other thing is you can also plug in your glue gun and put a little dab of tape, not tape, but a little glab of, it's getting late, a little bit of glue underneath to keep your picture on. And then still use your washi tape for decorations, right? Another fun thing that you can do with your washi tape is you can also do your edges. So like over here, I think I'm going to turn my glue gun on and just put a little dab behind these guys here to keep it on real well. So I plugged my glue gun in because I remembered I wanted to do something with this, and I enjoy putting lots of different layers onto my book, and every page eventually it'll just really be filled out. I love that. But another piece of trash, these were old books that were being thrown out, and I was asked if I want it, and I said absolutely. They're so old, like all you have to do is just bend this page and it breaks. But what you can do as well, just to kind of give you an idea, is, you know, well, number one, you could use pages like this to kind of build up your, just your background, you know, so I could put something like that behind it if I want, behind little pieces. I could use this to write on, which honestly is what I'm going to do. Probably something like that. Yeah, maybe something like that. Just tear it. But yeah, if you have any pages that, were meant for the trash, go ahead and do something with them. I'm going to try to keep that flower exposed right there. So if I really wanted to, I could move this over so you can see that one right there. And then, you could just take a little bit of this right here and you can write on it. I like that layout. Here's what I wanted to do. So I didn't have a picture. This table we painted. We did the forest enchanted table with a two-tone look in the last video. And then I took moss and I fixed the legs. Do you remember that? Well, I didn't have a picture, only video. So what I thought I would do for the book here is actually put the moss in here in the book. Because why not? How fun is that, right? Just little bits to be like, oh yeah, remember, wherever you want to put it. That's right. I did a little bit of moss on that table, the mossy table. So that's fun, right? I might put a little bit down in the corner down here just to represent the mossy forest table. So I'm probably going to write on here, maybe get up my black Sharpie. This is fun where you get to get fun pens and colors. This is actually part of the receipt from getting pictures printed. It's trash. It's junk. But I'm going to use it to write on. It's going to be perfect. I cut off another piece as well. I'm just going to say tea with Mr. Toad. I love him. Makes tea time extra special when I get to sit with Mr. Toad. And I had some Earl Grey this week when I filmed and we hung out. It was awesome. And it's a reminder. So like another thing that I could do as I go forward, just thinking ideas, because I've gotten questions on like, what does it mean to have a junk journal? Well, just like we're doing right now, I'm just using pieces of my receipt, pieces of things that just were part of this process. It can be anything though. So I could keep the little package from my Earl Grey tea and I could put right there next to Mr. Toad and I could remind myself, oh yeah, I need to have another, I need to go get myself and sit down and have a nice tea time with Mr. Toad again. As I write these words in my journal, in every walk in the woods, one receives far more than he seeks. I am reminded of just how true those words are. Whenever I wander into the forest, I might go searching for inspiration or peace or maybe just a moment of quiet, but I always return with more than I imagined. The woods give us more than just beauty. They give us grounding, perspective, and a reminder that life unfolds at its own pace. The moss doesn't hurry, the trees don't rush, and yet everything grows exactly as it should. And that's why I keep a journal of these thoughts and projects. It's not just about recording what I've made, but more about preserving the feelings that come with each moment. The feelings of gratitude, wonder, and the gentle lessons that nature teaches us when we pause long enough to listen. I want to thank you for joining me for another week inside the Wildflower Journal, a cozy space each week for projects, thrift flips, home decor, and inspiration. And I hope today's creations remind you to slow down, to savor the simple things, and find beauty in your own four corners of your home. Until next Sunday, stay cozy, my friends, stay grateful, and keep creating a life that blooms like wildflowers.